I will say that even Kamu questioned Dee's weird energy for Taylor and Lala. So, even the Karens getting clocked by Kamu, of all people. What up, everybody? Here for my quick update on the Big Brother 28 live feeds. We are starting another week of the game, technically, with the new HOH. But let me start with some of my notes before yesterday's eviction. We've had many times over the past 2 days now where Taylor and Yash think that Dee is playing dumb or just is dumb in this game. And this is a bit of a double-edged sword because I do feel like Dee has played sloppy these past 2 weeks because she has. I wouldn't necessarily say it's dumb. On the flip side, though, I will say that Dee wants to come across as dumb, so maybe some of that is paying off for her, but I don't think it's paying off enough. I don't think she's being seen as dumb in a good way. I do think she is being seen as the sloppy player she has become in this game because Dee's ego is out of control. She's had all this safety thanks to production this entire game, and it really has gone to her head, and I do think that has kind of been her downfall. But one thing Dee does have in this game, it is bitch-ass Barrett. As Book Lover, I believe, in the comments, sorry if I'm getting your name wrong, but Book Lover has started calling Barrett Dee's thong. And that is exactly what Barrett is for sure. Or at least that's what he acts like. Always wanting to be up Dee's ass. And the latest thing that Barrett has done that I don't like is that he is now studying days with Dee. So Dee has not been studying the days in this game. That is a big thing at the end of this game. We all know with the last HOH per usual. Barrett, this is his one strong point. He keeps track of the days. If he makes it to the end, he will do good in some of those competitions. But now he's giving away his strength to Dee, who I think would just rock Barrett in a final two with the jury. I think Dee would destroy bitch-ass Barrett in a final two speech answering questions. At this point anyway, there's nothing Barrett can really say about his game that is going to impress a jury. His only positive would be if the jury is completely bitter against whoever he is on the block, in the final two with at the end. Yesterday, Dee and Devins did discuss flipping the vote if Barrett won Blockbuster, which is asking a lot for Barrett to try and win a competition. They were hoping their little doormats, Drew and Barrett, would spread the news so that they don't get the blame this time. That didn't necessarily work. Mallory did confront Drew about him telling Dee that she would put Dee on the block. Drew said that Dee worded it wrong, but to me, in Drew's explanation to Mallory, Drew was fumbling all over his words, clearly lying. Hopefully, Mallory did catch on to that, and all Drew did in this conversation was fumble over words and try and get Mallory to work with the icons. I like to believe Mallory saw that Drew was a big fat liar in that instance. Another thing before the feeds yesterday was the talk of Lala being a bully. Haley talking about how she's been afraid to talk to Angela because of Lala. That's something that Angela has played into as well. This also became a subject after the eviction episode as well. So obviously Haley stayed last night because she won the Blockbuster. But something happened when the feeds were down that had most of the house upset with both Lala and Dee for different reasons. I was trying to read between the lines, but we did not get to see this on feeds. We could just hear people talking about what might have happened. Plus, at some point before the episode, Taylor was also trying to get the votes to keep Haley. I don't know exactly why. I don't know if it's because she realized that Chuck was dumb as hell, maybe. But when the feeds came back on after the episode, even Taylor was saying that Lala was upsetting people and the way Lala was acting was not good. Now, I don't agree with Haley's bully accusations, especially since Hateful Haley has been someone that has been a part of isolating people when they've been on the block this entire game, in the Rome situation, in the Jason situation. Like, Haley just playing the victim, it is why she is one of the three Karens in this house. But Drew telling Haley that Taylor was trying to flip the vote to keep Haley did help Haley and Taylor's relationship, I think. And Haley already likes Yash, so as a duo, Yash and Taylor could have a number in Haley to pull in here. But I don't really think that's the direction Yash wants to go. I do think it's the direction that Taylor wants to go. Kamu is also all about trying to re-strengthen his bond with Haley again after kind of being a part of the reason last week why it's gone down. He did practically admit to throwing her and Chuck under the bus to save his own ass last week. Now he's trying to strengthen this bond with Haley and telling Haley that they need to just keep it low-key and not seem like they're close again. We'll see if Haley goes for that or if Haley's one brain cell could actually play that off well. But Kamu is still playing well, kind of starting to be on the verge of overplaying, in my opinion. Both Haley and Kamu are not feeling Dee. I think Dee's overplaying continues to catch up to her more and more. Both feel like Dee was the main culprit in trying to screw them over 2 weeks ago. She was the person that tried to flip the vote. Well, this all culminated last night in a Yash HOH win. Good for Yash. It was a knockout competition where apparently Devins and Dee were picking each other in the knockout competition, not realizing how the knockout competition works, or I don't know if they were just trying to seem like they weren't as close as they actually are. Maybe that was their strategy here. I'm happy that Yash won the HOH. I feel like he kind of needed it the last couple of days. It seems like there was a lot of chatter about Yash and how it did seem like his target was growing bigger. So he did kind of need this. But I do think he and his closest allies are going to have a week of trying to avoid all of these fuck-ass powers. Kamu, again, much like last week, has been a big chirper in the HOH's ear, trying to get his way. Before I get into that, though, Angela had one of her talks with Lala where she talks to Lala like Lala is a kid. These are the kind of conversations I've mentioned in the past that are so cringe to me. But honestly, Lala goes along with them and sometimes acts like a kid in these conversations with Angela when Lala's not getting her way. They're very strange conversations and I don't like them. I think Lala not keeping the energy she had against Angela at the beginning is why Lala is now always in sticky situations. And that brings us to today's Karen Watch. With Haley still in the game, there are now still 3 Karens in our forecast to have to watch that we're going to have to keep our eyes on to see if they go from tropical storms to full-blown hurricanes, because we got to keep our eyes on these 3 Karens, Haley, Angela, and Dee, much like they keep their eyes on the minorities. Haley and Angela continue to make up, so we won't even be getting a Karen war right now, unfortunately. But Angela uses Lala as a shield, but it's not like in a game sense where she's using Lala as a target in front of her, but it's like a personal shield, knowing from jump that hateful Haley was going around calling Lala aggressive. Then Angela is the one who gets super aggressive with Haley last week, but Angela goes and plays the victim about it with Lala, and Lala is her biggest supporter, comforting Angela about it. And now Angela is pushing the narrative that Lala is really the bully. And so it is Haley and Angela who have now done nothing but be miserable to people in this game, coming back together as victims. And now Lala is the old angry black lady. We will keep an eye here at the Karen Watch, if the likes of Mike Bloom and Sharon Tharp ask Angela questions about her Karen ways taking over the summer when they get to interview her whenever she's out of this game. or after the season if she's in the jury. Also, Devins has jumped on the Lala bullied Haley last week bandwagon too. I have such a mega rant against Devins loaded in my chamber that I will be pulling out if he ends up using his power on Dee instead of himself. Taylor has tried to have a conversation with Lala about how she needs to lay low this week because there's a lot of heat on her. Taylor's had a tough game because I feel like Taylor has had to try to play with people that just don't get it. She tried with Chuck, didn't work. She's trying with Lala, it never works. Lala just goes into La La Land, trying to do her own thing, never with an actual good game sense. She really only has Yash to bounce ideas off of and Kamu when he decides to do so. Some notes I took from Yash's early HOH talks. Melody did a good job of defending the Boar 4, but of course Barrett didn't. And then Drew, as always, threw Melody and Mallory under the bus, saying they would be fine as pawns. It's typical shit from Drew here, always throwing Melody under the bus. And another reason why I keep calling the Drewlity fans weirdos that clearly don't care about Melody because Drew doesn't. Melody is not even in Drew's top 3 because the vets are. Drew put in more work with Yash trying to defend Angela from being a nominee than Melody. So that's all you need to know about Drew's game. Kamu again is another one trying to tell Drew he was the target at one point the week he was on the block. He kind of did this the other day a little bit. He did it more so last night. He's also been laying out information to Yash and Drew about all of the info he knows about what Dee and Angela did that week and last week. I mean, is Drew going to listen, or is Drew just going to run this information back to his puppet masters? Probably the latter. Yash, as of now, wants to nominate Haley as a pawn, Angela as his target, and Dee as a backup target. Kamu has been pushing more so for Dee to be the main target because he sees Dee as dangerous and having more social influence, which is true. I will say that even Kamu questioned Dee's weird energy for Taylor and Lala. So, even the Karens getting clocked by Kamu, of all people, Kamu has also been pushing for Barrett to be a renom this week if needed, which is music to my ears. I mean, just put him up full stop would be better, I think. Taylor was trying to get Yash to not nominate Haley, as she sees that as someone they could pull in as a number, and she's not wrong. But I also agree with Yash not wanting to nominate Mallory or Melody right now. If he does nominate one of the two, it would be Melody. One issue here with all this is, of course, Devin's Diamond Power of Veto. And it could mean that Taylor or Kamu find themselves on the block by the end of the week. And so that's why Yash and Taylor need to not play this week poorly, or it could result in Taylor just going home. Now, Dee does have her BB Bribe, and you would think that would be the first line of defense for the vets. I have to believe that Dee would try to use that today if her talk with Yash doesn't go well, or just if she learns that she's going on the block. But the question is, will Yash take that bribe? And if he does, who would be his backup option to nominate? Hopefully Barrett. I do think Devin's using his Diamond Power of Veto on Dee is actually terrible for his own game, and it will only grow his target because Devins has outplayed Dee these past 2 weeks by being more calm and more logical, while Dee has been sloppy, and Dee has put a bigger target on herself. But if Devins uses this on Dee, they are just going to be seen as a duo from here on out, and then his target just becomes as big as Dee's, if not bigger. We'll see how that all plays out. I think production has its work cut out for them this week to save the vets. We're going to see them putting in so much work. They have a couple of options, though. My favorite option is this week is finally the week that production gives up on the vets' first line of defense, aka Barrett and Drew. You know, Barrett is a renom option for now, thanks to Kamu, but Drew may get thrown under the bus by the vets to save their own asses. That's best case scenario. Worst case scenario, Melody gets that power today, and it's the possible HOH takeover coin, and she already decides to use it today to try and take Kamu out, which keeps the vets safe for another week. That would be a very hasty decision by Melody, and stupid to do it on a week where she is possibly safe. But I could see production definitely pushing for that to save their vets. Something to watch out for. So yeah, to me, production's decision making is unfortunately more interesting than the game because they've been so obviously heavy-handed in this season to anyone with a brain. Watching people closely after the DR sessions this week is going to be pretty interesting. One last thing, though, about Yash's game that does irk me, even though I am trying to root for him, is his need to want to bro down. It's been a thing with him since the beginning. He has only thrown out women's names to nominate this week, and Kamu had to put in work just to get Yash to consider Barrett as a renom. But yeah, anyway, like the last 2 weeks, best case scenario for me is Barrett or Drew leave this week. We had chances the last 2 weeks. People did not take those shots. Unless, Devins doesn't use his Diamond Veto on Dee and if she's on the block later this week. Because Dee or Angela going home is actually the best case scenario. But production will not make that easy. So I expect plenty of fuckery from this week of feeds.